Mom trashed my birthday envelope and called me a failure. After learning what's inside, she's begging for it back. Be me, 31, female. Been thinking about sharing this story for ages. Always felt too heavy to unpack. Looking back now, realize I was too young to understand life's fragility. When you're a kid, you think everything stays the same forever. But sometimes one day changes everything. Be that morning, just another Tuesday. Me, 11 years old, half asleep at breakfast. Dad already dressed for work in his usual navy suit. Ruffles my hair like he always does. Morning, Rose? Ready for school? Barely manage a sleepy yeah. Mom Catherine sits at the kitchen table, completely absorbed in her iPad. Barely acknowledges Dad when he kisses her cheek. See you later, Catherine. She just mutters, They hadn't been talking much lately, living in separate worlds. Grab my backpack, heading out. Dad smiles at me. Dinner's my treat on Friday, you pick the place. Grin, thinking about my favorite burger joint downtown. Don't realize it's the last time I'll see my dad. Day goes on like any other, sitting through classes, drawing little dragons in my notebook instead of paying attention. Then during last period, everything changes. Principal comes to get me, leads me to her office. Mom's already there. She looks oddly calm, holding a tissue but not crying. She says it so simply. Rose, your dad passed away today. Freeze in place. What does that even mean? Dad's only 41. He's not sick. He's strong, always carrying heavy boxes at his publishing job. Takes me hiking every summer in the mountains. How can he just be gone? Mom pats my back awkwardly, says we'll get through this, like she's reading from a script. That night, our house in Chicago feels empty. Can't understand how someone can just disappear. 1 minute drinking coffee, telling Dad jokes. Next minute, gone. Can't sleep that night. Everything feels wrong in the house. Decide to go downstairs for water. That's when I hear it. Mom talking on the phone in the living room, standing in the dark hallway, listening to her conversation. She's talking to her friend Rebecca. Honestly, Rebecca, she says into the phone, this might be a blessing in disguise. Feel my stomach drop. Being a widow is so much easier than going through a messy divorce. Can't believe what I'm hearing. Stay frozen in place. Now I don't have to deal with lawyers or splitting anything. Her voice sounds almost happy. The house is mine. The savings are mine. Each word feels like a knife. I'll just play the grieving widow for a while. She sounds so smug. It's not like anyone will question it. Standing there in the dark hallway, feel like I'm going to throw up. Can barely process what I'm hearing. Was this real? Did my mom just say that? She lets out this smug laugh. Have to clamp my hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. Can't believe what I'm hearing. My dad, the man who did everything for her, is gone, and she's already thinking about what she can gain from it. The funeral comes too soon. Everything feels like a blur. Wearing this black dress doesn't fit quite right. Had to buy it last minute from some department store on Michigan Avenue. People keep coming up to me, one after another, all saying how sorry they are, how much Dad meant to them. Each word feels hollow. Mom sits at the front, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Does it every few minutes? Perfect performance for everyone watching. To them, she's just a grieving widow. Only Aunt Clara seems to see through it. Aunt Clara pulls me aside after the service, hugs me tight against her lavender sweater. You're going to be okay, Rose, she says softly. You're stronger than you know. Want to believe her, but not sure how anymore. After the funeral, house feels like a ghost town. Not just because Dad's gone, though that alone feels like a giant hole. Right in the middle of everything. Something heavier lingers now. Mom can't even look at me. When she does, her face twists into something else, mixed between disgust and pity. You look just like him, she snaps one morning. No wonder you're so awkward. Each word cuts deep, treats me like I don't belong. Like everything I do is just a reminder of the life she wants to erase. The more she throws herself into cleaning, into getting rid of Dad's things, into redecorating the house, the clearer it becomes. She isn't just grieving, she's rebuilding. And I'm not part of the blueprint. The day after the memorial, Mom starts making changes, goes through Dad's closet like a hurricane, pulls out all his clothes, designer suits he wore to work, old band t-shirts he loved, even his favorite Chicago Bears jersey, dumps everything into black trash bags, like they're nothing, like they weren't his most precious things. A week later, she starts talking about renovations. We need to move forward, Rose, she says. It's breakfast time. I'm barely touching my cereal. The living room could really use a fresh coat of paint. Maybe something brighter, more cheerful. Every time I try to stop her, every time I open my mouth to protest, she just brushes me off, like I'm not even there. So I keep silent, watch as she erases him, bit by bit, until there's nothing left. Try to talk to Aunt Clara about it, one night when I'm staying over, at her cozy brownstone apartment, the one with all the plants in the windows. She's acting like Dad didn't even matter. Voice breaks as I say it. Clara sits next to me on her old floral couch. Your mom's always been complicated, she says. Chooses her words carefully. I know this isn't easy for you, Rose. But just remember, you're not responsible for how she copes. You've got to focus on yourself, okay? Nod my head. But her words don't make me feel better. Nothing does anymore. Not when home feels like a battlefield. Where I'm fighting to keep Dad's memory alive, while Mom's determined to erase every trace. 3 months after Dad's memorial, Mom decides to surprise me. We're eating dinner together. Just the two of us like always. Chicken stir-fry getting cold on my plate. So, she starts. Won't even look at me. I've been seeing someone. Give her a death glare. Totally shocked. She glances at me casually, like she's talking about the weather. I met someone at work. Says it like it's no big deal. His name is Richard. He's very kind and stable. I think you'll like him. Stare at her in disbelief. So you're dating? Yes, Rose, she says. Rolls her eyes like I'm being difficult. I'm not dead. Remember feeling disgusted. Didn't know how to respond. It had been just 3 months. 3 months since Dad died. And she was already moving on. Like he'd been a phase. Instead of her husband of 15 years? Just like that. Start coming home to find Richard. Having dinner with my mom. He's this middle-class accountant with a steady job and boring suits. Not flashy or wealthy, but can afford things we usually didn't have. Like brand-name sneakers for his kids, or weekend trips to Lake Michigan. It's clear Mom sees potential in him, not just as a partner, but as someone who could elevate her life in ways Dad never could. She latches onto him quickly. Her behavior shifts almost overnight. Suddenly, she's cooking elaborate meals, the kind we never had growing up. Richard has 2 kids from his previous marriage. Mentions it casually first time we meet. Says it like it's no big deal. But the moment sticks with me. Can't help but wonder what they're like. How they'll fit into this weird new dynamic. Dinners become awkward affairs. Mom laughs at all Richard's jokes. Her laugh sounds different. Too high-pitched. Too forced. Keeps glancing at me, like she's waiting for me to join in. Richard barely talks to me. Keeps his distance. Only asks basic questions about school. Before going back to his organic chicken. Over time, I get used to him being around. Even if it feels wrong. He isn't mean or cruel. Just distant. Don't know if it's intentional, or if he just doesn't know how to connect. Either way, learn to keep interactions surface level, nodding and answering when necessary. Never offering more than I have to, then one evening everything shifts. Rose, Mom announces, like she's about to reveal some great news. Richard and I are getting married. She's smiling like a teenager. Isn't it wonderful? Don't know what to say. It isn't wonderful. It isn't even okay. But Mom's giving me that look, that expectant expression, the one that says she's not asking for my opinion. She's telling me how I'm supposed to feel. That's great, I managed to say. Force the fakest smile of my life. Richard and Mom get married. Small ceremony at some fancy venue downtown. Mom seems lighter, happier, like she's trying on a new personality, one that fits better than the one she had with Dad. After the wedding, everything really starts to change. Richard and his kids move into our house. Thomas and Nicole. They take over like they own the place. When Richard and his kids move in, Mom throws herself into making them feel at home. Buys them new clothes, makes fancy meals, even redecorates their rooms. Meanwhile, I'm left with hand-me-downs and silence. I've done enough for you, she says. Every time I ask for anything, why don't you try earning your keep for once? It's crystal clear. She's building a new family, and I'm not part of it. Thomas and Nicole are close to my age. Thomas is 14. Nicole is 13. But we couldn't be more different. They come with mountains of stuff. Designer clothes, latest iPhones, expensive laptops, and this entitled attitude that takes up more space than their luggage. Within a week, Thomas claims the second largest bedroom, the one with the bay window. Nicole turns my old art corner into her creative studio, complete with a new MacBook Pro and professional art supplies. Mom doesn't ask how I feel about any of it. We need to make them feel at home, she says. When I try to bring it up, don't be selfish, Rose. I wasn't trying to be selfish. Just wanted to feel like I still mattered. In my own house, life with Richard and his kids becomes this weird balancing act where I'm constantly left off the scale. Mom changes completely, always running around, doing things for Thomas and Nicole, taking them to soccer games, helping with school projects, buying art supplies. While I'm left to fend for myself, Richard isn't much better. Treats me like an afterthought, someone who's there but doesn't really matter. He'll pat my shoulder, say things like, "Hey kiddo," but never tries to actually know me. Most of the time, he's too busy doting on Thomas and Nicole to notice I exist. By the time summer rolls around, start spending more and more time at Aunt Clara's. Her little brick cottage on Oak Street feels like a safe haven, a place where I can just exist. Without fighting for space or attention, without feeling like a ghost, Clara watches me unpack my overnight bag. Must be the 100th time. She's making hot chocolate, even though it's middle of summer, because she knows it's my comfort drink. You don't deserve this, she says. You know that, right? Nod, but deep down, not so sure anymore. At home, things keep getting worse. Richard starts taking the family on trips, but I'm never invited. You'll just be bored, Mom says. When I ask why. Besides, someone needs to take care of the house while we're gone. Spend those weekends alone, cleaning up after everyone, wondering why I'm not good enough to be part of their perfect family. It reaches a breaking point. Fed up with being treated like trash, by the time junior year starts, have one clear goal. Get out. Don't know exactly how or where I'll go, but know I have to leave this house. Richard and Mom are busy, building their new perfect family, with Thomas and Nicole, while I'm just a ghost. That happens to haunt the same space. That year, throw myself into school like never before. Figure if I can keep my grades up, stack my extracurriculars, I'll have a shot at getting into a good college. Far away from here, already working on applications in secret. Hide them in my desk drawer, under old birthday cards from Dad. The day I bring up college turns into a complete disaster. It's a random Tuesday night. We're all sitting around the dinner table. Richard, Thomas, and Nicole. Mom's made her special lasagna, the one she only makes for them. Nicole's scrolling through her phone, pretending to listen. Wait for a quiet moment before carefully speaking up. Mom, I say. Try to sound casual. I've been looking at colleges. I think I want to study business and marketing. The room goes dead silent. Think I've imagined it at first. Like maybe they didn't hear me. But then Mom stares at me. College? She repeats, like it's a foreign word. Yeah, I say. Been doing research? There are some good schools nearby. Mom stares at me. Ellie, she cuts me off. We can't afford to send you to college. Yeah, sure she can't afford it. Think bitterly to myself. But she can afford Richard's new MacBook Pro, Thomas's expensive soccer equipment, and Nicole's private art classes. But college for me? Suddenly, that's where the money runs out. Stand there. Try to keep my voice steady. But what about Dad's savings? He always said he was putting money aside. For my future, her face changes, like she's been caught. That money's gone, she says flatly. Do you think raising you has been free? Food, clothes, a roof over your head, all of that costs money. Richard looks completely uninterested. Won't even look up from his plate. Thomas smirks behind his glass of water. Nicole doesn't even try to hide. Her smug little grin. Feel my blood boiling. But you and Richard just bought a new car last month. And Nicole's taking those expensive art classes? How can there be no money left for college? Her face turns bright red. Don't you dare question me, she shouts. Thomas and Nicole's education is just as important as yours, if not more so. They have more potential than you, Rose. You need to be realistic about your future. Her words hit like a truck. Realistic about my future? Shot back. What does that even mean? It means, she replies, voice dripping with contempt, that you need to focus on finding a job after high school? Not everyone gets to go to college. Just stare at her. Try to process what she just said. College had always been the plan. Dad's plan. He used to talk about it, like it was a done deal, like it was something I deserved, after working hard in school. And now she's acting like it had never even been on the table. For the rest of dinner, keep my mouth shut, push food around my plate, while everyone else pretends like nothing happened. Can't decide if I'm more hurt or more angry, probably both. Later sit in my room, replay the conversation, over and over in my head. The way she said, not everyone gets to go to college, keeps echoing like some cruel joke. Who was everyone anyway? Did that include me? Was I supposed to just give up on my dreams? Because she didn't care? Can't take it anymore. Grab my phone. Call Aunt Clara. It's late, but know she'll pick up. She always does. When Clara picks up, break down completely. Tell her everything. The dinner conversation, the money, the way Mom dismissed me, like I was nothing. Clara listens quietly, then says something that changes everything. Rose, she says. Your dad would be furious if he knew what she was doing. He wanted better for you. I don't know what to do, I admit. Wiping tears away with my sleeve? I can't stay here, but I don't have any other options. Come over tomorrow. We'll figure it out, she says. Voice full of determination. Next evening, go to Clara's after school. She meets me at the door, pulls me into a tight hug, leads me into her kitchen. 2 mugs of peppermint tea, already waiting on the table. When I sit down, she slides a thick envelope across to me. What's this? I ask. staring at the yellowed envelope. Open it, she says. Voice gentle but firm. Hesitate before peeling it open. Inside is a stack of papers. Bank statements mostly, all with my name on them. My hands start shaking. As I flip through them, your dad gave me that account. 2 weeks before he died, Clara explains carefully. He said he was worried about your mom spending it on herself, so he made me promise to keep it safe until you needed it. For college. Feel like I'm about to burst into tears. He saved this for me? I ask. Voice barely a whisper. She nods. It's not a fortune, but it's enough to get you started. You won't have to rely on her. For anything? For first time in months, feel a spark of hope. Real, tangible hope. At home. Don't say a word about my plans. Figure the less mom knows, the better. But Thomas and Nicole keep making snide comments about my future. Hey, Rose, Thomas says one afternoon. As I walk past him in the hallway, the burger place downtown is hiring. Maybe you can be a dishwasher. After graduation, Nicole chimes in, smirking like she's so clever. If you're lucky, they might let you clean the bathrooms too. Ignore them completely. Pretend their words don't bother me. But inside I'm seething. They have no idea what's coming. The day I get my acceptance letter to Northwestern University. Can't stop smiling. One of the best business schools in the region. With the scholarships I earned, plus the money Dad saved. I can actually afford it. My hands shake while holding the letter. Heavy cream-colored paper with the university seal. Everything feels possible now. Tell Aunt Clara first? Rush to her house after school. Show her the letter. My hands still trembling. I knew you could do it, she says, pulling me into a tight hug. Your dad would be so proud of you. Feel tears forming, but hold them back. These are happy tears for once. At home, keep the news to myself. Mom doesn't ask about my plans. I don't offer any details. Letting her in feels like giving her power she doesn't deserve. Power to try and stop me, or ruin this too. Then graduation day rolls around. Comes quicker than expected. Should be a celebration? First step toward the life I want. But of course, my parents have to ruin this too. After the ceremony, while everyone else is taking photos, hugging their families, Mom and Richard pull me aside. Don't even wait until we get home to hit me with it. You're 18 now, Rose, Richard starts, adjusting his cheap polyester tie. We've been more than generous, but it's time for you to start thinking about your next steps, Mom adds with fake concern. You'll need to find a job and figure out where you'll be living. You can't stay here forever. Stand there stunned. They're not even trying to hide. Their eagerness to get rid of me. Manage to nod. Mumble something like, I understand. Then smile calmly. I'll be moved out by next week. Walk away while they process that. They look confused. Think they expected me to break down. Throw some kind of tantrum. Richard manages to say, oh, well, good. That's very mature of you. That's it. They don't even ask where I'm planning to go. Too relieved that I agreed so easily. Don't want their words to affect me? Look into the crowd. Find Aunt Clara, standing there in her blue sundress, smiling proudly. It feels like stepping into a safe harbor. She hugs me tight. Whispers, you did it, kiddo. You're going to do amazing things. Smile through the sting of my parents' words, feeling lighter than I have in years. This isn't just graduation day. It's my freedom day. Beginning of a life that's truly mine. The day I finally pack my bags. Wait until the house is completely empty. Don't want to deal with any dramatic goodbyes. Aunt Clara comes to pick me up in her blue Honda. Watch as I load everything into her car. My whole life in just a few boxes and bags. Feel this strange mix of relief and fear. This is it. I'm leaving, and there's no turning back. Are you ready? Clara asks, watching me carefully, like she's trying to read my mind. Nod firmly. Yeah, I'm ready. We drive to the apartment, the one I arranged near campus, thanks to combination of scholarships and the money Dad saved. It's small but clean. Third floor walk-up with a window that faces east. Clara helps me unpack everything, gives me advice about everything, from meal planning to budgeting to which laundry detergent to buy, even stocks my fridge with groceries. Before she leaves, stand in the middle of my new apartment that evening after Clara leaves. Feel this sense of freedom I've never experienced before. My own space, my own rules, no one to make me feel unwanted. Next few months are a complete whirlwind of classes, part-time work, and figuring out how to live on my own. Northwestern isn't too far from home, but it feels like a completely different world. Like I've stepped into another dimension where I actually matter. Make a few friends, including my roommate Hannah. She's this bubbly, outgoing girl, the kind who could make friends in a room full of strangers, always wearing bright colors and playing indie music. One night, Hannah and I are sitting in our shared kitchen, eating cup noodles, and talking about our families. What about your parents? She asks, between bites of her spicy ramen. Hesitate for a moment, unsure how much to say. It's complicated, I reply. Stirring my own noodles, she nods understandingly. I get that. Families can be messy. That's the thing about Hannah. She doesn't push, accepts my vague answers, without prying, which makes it easier to open up over time. When I'm ready, after my first semester, finally start to feel settled. Between classes, my internship at a digital marketing agency, and weekends working at a local cafe. Stay busy. Keep thoughts of home at bay. The internship becomes a turning point. My boss, this sharp woman named Victoria, says something that changes everything. Rose, you've got a good eye for this. Stick with it. You've got potential. Hearing that from someone outside of Aunt Clara is the confidence boost I didn't even know I needed. Someone seeing my worth without any family obligation, just pure professional recognition. By senior year, work my way up to part-time role, junior account manager. While keeping my grades high, dean's list every semester. Graduation day feels surreal. Aunt Clara cheering louder than anyone. In her new floral dress, the one she bought just for this. Soon after graduation, land my first full-time job at a reputable mid-sized firm. The opportunities only grow from there. Each project bigger than the last, each success building on previous ones. Then comes the biggest surprise. My boss calls me into her office one morning in October, thinking it's about one of my projects. Walk in with my notebook, ready to take notes. Instead, she slides a folder across the desk, has my name on it in gold letters, says, "We've been watching your work," and the board agrees. It's time. Blink in confusion. Not sure what she means, until she adds with a smile, "We're promoting you to senior marketing director." Congratulations. Open the folder. There it is, the official offer. My eyes immediately land on the salary. Have to read it twice to make sure I'm not seeing things. It's way more than I ever imagined. Try to play it cool. But inside I'm freaking out. This isn't just a pay bump. This is life-changing. When my first bonus rolls in, know exactly what I want to do. My old Toyota Corolla has been loyal sidekick for years, but it's time to level up. Head to the dealership, drive out in a black Mercedes C-Class, the one I've been dreaming about since sophomore year. By the time I turned 31, achieved more than ever thought possible. Own a beautiful condo in Gold Coast District, drive my dream car, have a job I actually love, but most importantly, built a life I'm proud of, despite everything I've accomplished. Over the years, Mom hasn't reached out once. Not surprised, really, but small part of me always hoped she might call or send a message, something to acknowledge my success. But silence is all I get. Sometimes, though, find myself scrolling through their Facebook profiles, even though I know it isn't healthy. Mom's posts are carefully curated, snapshots of a life she wants world to believe in. Thomas holding his soccer trophies, Nicole smiling next to her paintings, family pictures from their latest trip to Wisconsin Dells. Never a single mention of me, like I never existed. One day scrolling through Richard's posts always makes me laugh. He has this way of presenting himself, like he's living the high life. Though I know better, there he is, standing next to his used Hyundai SUV, with captions like, "Hard work pays off." Feeling blessed to provide for my amazing family, can't help but laugh as I read his posts while parking in the garage of my luxury condo after closing a deal worth more than Richard probably makes in a year. Not that I want to mock him, but the gap between his performative wealth and what I've quietly earned is almost comical. At that moment, Facebook message pops up from my mom, catches me completely off guard. First contact in years. Have to read it twice. "Rose, it's your mother. My 53rd birthday is coming up next month. I'm having a celebration at this fancy restaurant, Le Bernardin. You've probably never even heard of it. It's not the kind of place people like you usually go to. Anyway, you'll attend, won't you? It's on the 12th at 7 p.m. Don't be late. And don't embarrass me." Stare at the message, reading it over and over. The audacity is actually laughable. Did she really think she could summon me like this? Like nothing had happened? Like we were some normal family? Debate ignoring the message altogether, just blocking her again. But something holds me back. Maybe it's curiosity. Maybe it's the urge to finally show her who I've become without her, who I am despite her. After sitting on it for a couple days, call Aunt Clara. She messaged me, I say. As soon as she picks up, "Your mother?" she asks, voice instantly concerned. "Yeah, she wants me to come to her birthday dinner. Next month? It's at some fancy restaurant." Clara sighs deeply. Can hear her moving around, probably settling into her reading chair. Are you going? She asks carefully. I don't know, I admit. Part of me wants to just block her again, but another part of me, I don't know. I kind of want to go just to see what she wants. Well, Clara says, her tone careful and measured. If you decide to go, make sure it's on your terms, not hers. Over the next few weeks, think about that message. More than want to admit. Memory of everything she'd said, everything she'd done over the years. Still fresh in my mind, but there's this strange satisfaction in the idea of showing up as the successful person I've become. Someone she never believed in, eventually decide to go. Not for her. But for me, since I can't go without a gift, make sure to choose carefully. Something that will make a statement. Wrap it in a neat small box. White paper with silver ribbon. Elegant bow on top. Day of the party. Leave work a little early to get ready. Pull on a sleek Chanel black dress. The one I bought for last quarter's charity gala. Simple but elegant. Price tag alone would make mom's eyes pop. Slip into matching Louboutin heels. Apply perfect makeup. Every detail has to be right. Take a taxi to the restaurant. Leave the Mercedes parked safely at home. No need to show all my cards at once. Le Bernardin turns out to be exactly what I expected. Over-the-top decor. Dim lighting. Menu that probably cost more to print than the food is worth. It's the kind of place that impresses people who've never eaten at a truly high-end restaurant. Nothing compared to the Michelin-starred places I've been to for business dinners. Hostess leads me to a private room. Party already in full swing. First person I see is Mom, sitting at head of the table, in a sequined dress that sparkles under the crystal chandelier. Richard next to her, looking a little older, but just as smug as I remember. Thomas and Nicole flanking them, laughing at something, while sipping sparkling water. Rose, Mom says, as her eyes land on me, checking my dress immediately. You're late? Glance at the clock on the wall. It's 7:02. Traffic, I say simply. Taking a seat at the far end of the table, rest of the room filled with familiar faces. Extended family I haven't seen in over a decade. Aunt Linda is there, along with a few cousins, who give me polite nods, but don't seem particularly interested in catching up. Mom basks in the attention, soaking up compliments about how great she looks for her age, how successful Thomas and Nicole have become. They're such amazing kids, she gushes, looking at me pointedly. I'm so proud of everything they've accomplished. Sip my water slowly, refusing to take the bait. Let her play her little games. For now, when time for opening gifts comes, table practically glowing, with expensive wrapping paper and elaborate bows. One of my cousins, Jessica, hands over a fancy leather journal with gold-edged pages. Mom smiles as she runs her fingers over it, like it's some rare artifact. Worth thousands! Aunt Linda brings a pair of crystal candle holders that catch the light, making them look way fancier than they probably are. Another relative hands her a premium skincare set, the kind that screams expensive, just from the packaging. Pile of gifts on the table, starting to look like a small boutique display. Mom absolutely eating up every moment of attention. Then it's Thomas and Nicole's turn. They stand up together, Nicole carrying a large box, while Thomas looks smug, clearly ready to soak up the praise. Mom, Thomas starts. Still doesn't sit right. Hearing him call her that, Nicole and I pulled our money together. To get you something special? Nicole sets the box on the table. With a dramatic flourish, carefully removes the wrapping, revealing a top-of-the-line luxury coffee machine, complete with all the bells and whistles. It's the best on the market, Thomas adds, his tone dripping with pride. We figured it would be perfect. For your mornings, Mom gasps theatrically, her hands flying to her chest as she stares at the machine, like it's a golden trophy. Within seconds, she's in tears, pulling both of them into a tight hug. You two are just so thoughtful, she gushes, making sure everyone sees this picture-perfect family moment. Finally, it's my turn. All eyes turn to me as I reach into my purse, pull out the small, neatly wrapped box. Well, Rose, Mom says, voice dripping with disdain. Is that all? Or is this just some last-minute attempt to keep up? Give her a practiced smile. Place the box on the table. Slide it toward her slowly. Without a word, she picks it up, turning it over like it might bite her. What's this supposed to be? Open it and see, I say. Leaning back in my chair, completely unfazed by the theatrics, she slams the box back down, on the table, making the silverware rattle. This is exactly what I'd expect from you. She spits the words, you show up here. In that plain dress, probably the only decent thing you own. You took a taxi, didn't you? Let me guess. You couldn't afford a car. And now you bring me this? A tiny empty box. What could possibly be in here? That's worth more than a decent meal. At this restaurant? She throws it back at me. Box skids across the table, leaving a scratch in the cheap veneer. Thomas and Nicole chuckle, under their breath, clearly enjoying the show. A few guests shift uncomfortably in their seats, while others watch the scene like it's the best entertainment they've had all night. Pick up the box carefully, brush off crumbs from its elegant wrapping. Smile at her as the room falls silent. You know what's funny, Mom? I say. Keep my tone steady and calm. This little box contains something. You've probably never had. Room goes dead silent. Could hear a pin drop. Inside this little box is a receipt for a 2-week luxury vacation to the Maldives. First-class flights, 5-star resort, all-inclusive. All worth $177,000. Mom's face goes from pale to beet red in matter of seconds. That's impossible, she stammers. Voice barely above a whisper. You can't afford that? Tilt my head. Give her a slow, sarcastic smile. Yeah, you'd know that. If you'd bothered to keep up with my life these past 12 years. But since you didn't, let me catch you up. I'm a senior director at a top marketing firm. I own my apartment in Gold Coast. And that taxi you mocked? I took it because I didn't want to leave my Mercedes, to get dusty in this neighborhood. Oh, and this little trip? It's just a small gesture. Her mouth opens and closes, like a fish gasping for air. Nicole's fork slides from her hand, clatters to the floor. Thomas looks stunned. First time I've seen him speechless. But since you're convinced, I'm a loser, and you don't seem to like tiny boxes, drop the box back into my purse. I think I'll gift it to someone else. Stand up smoothly, smooth down my Chanel dress. Enjoy the coffee machine, Mom. Say it with perfect sarcasm. Hopefully it keeps you awake at night while you think about what you've missed. With that, turn and walk out. Sharp click of my Louboutins, echoing in the stunned silence. And that felt so damn good. When I get home, barely make it through the door. Before kicking off my heels, collapsing onto my leather couch, don't bother turning on the lights, or even changing out of my dress. Not angry or upset, just drained, but in a good way. Like after winning a long-awaited victory. Next morning, the floodgates open. Phone buzzes constantly, with messages from unknown numbers. Mom using different phones, probably. Rose, it's your mother. We need to talk. Call me. Rose, you can't just drop something like that and disappear. Please call me back. Rose, don't ignore me. This is important. Don't respond to any of them. There's no need to. Mom made her decision years ago. I gave her a chance. She didn't take it. Now I have more important things to do. Get dressed in my favorite silk blouse. Grab the vacation package. Head straight to Aunt Clara's house. She welcomes me warmly as always. Fresh pot of coffee already brewing. Sit in my usual spot, the comfy armchair by the window. Feeling like home, Clara comes back with 2 steaming mugs, her special hazelnut blend. So, she says, setting the mugs down. How was it? Well, it was exactly what you'd expect. Say with a smile. She was her usual self. Nothing's changed. And you? How did you handle it? She asks, stirring honey into her coffee. Better than I thought I would. Admit while warming my hands around the coffee mug. I said what I needed to say. Gave her a little reality check and walked out before dessert. Good, Clara says. Hint of pride in her voice. You didn't let her win. Reach into my bag, pull out the vacation package. This is for you, I say, sliding the papers across her small coffee table. She unfolds the papers, eyes scanning the details. Rose, she says slowly. What is this? It's a vacation package. 2 weeks in the Maldives. Flights, resort, everything. It's for you. For me? Rose, this can't be right. This is too much. No, it's not. Say firmly. It's exactly right. You deserve this, Clara. You've done more for me than anyone else ever has. You've been my family, my rock. This is the least I can do to thank you. Rose, she says, voice cracking with emotion. You didn't have to do this. Yes, I did. Say with complete conviction. I wouldn't be where I am today. If it weren't for you, you've been there for me. Every step of the way, when no one else was. Please let me do this for you. Clara stares at me for a moment, her eyes filling with tears. Then, without a word, she leans forward, pulls me into a tight hug. Thank you, she whispers. You have no idea how much this means to me. Hug her back tightly. Feel a sense of peace settle over me. For everything, I say softly. At that moment, realize that Clara had been my family in every way that counted, and I'd finally learned how to be there for myself too. That was the real gift out of all this.